Okay, I have it now. Let me share it with you. I'm sharing the YouTube link so that you can forward it to your colleagues, those of you on the Zoom, on the WhatsApp link for this class. So please forward to your various classes so that okay, I think we can start the class now. We are good to go. We go on YouTube. We are coming. I want to see how many people are live on YouTube so that's okay. We have 18 people watching now. That number should be more than that. That number should be more than that. Okay, good morning once again, everybody. I'm sure you have access to the WhatsApp link. Please, I am recording the lecture already. Do not ask for any permission. Okay. Firstly, I must welcome and congratulate you for your admission to the University of Lagos. Okay, let me use my video so that you can see who you are relating with, at least for the first time today. I'm sure you can see my face. My video is on. So today we're starting the class for biology, general biology, BIO101, which was formerly FSC111. And FSC111 used to be a 3-unit course, but it is now divided into 2 based on the new curriculum that we are operating, and there is now running as 2 courses comprising BIO101, which is a 2-unit course, and the BIO107, which is a practical course, entirely practical course. And for this class, the BIO101, we are going to be having the lectures like on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 to 9 a.m. But I think before anything, I think I must apologize for starting the class very late today. It was due to traffic. I was rushing to get to the office to start the lecture. Then I was caught up in traffic. So that is why we are starting late today. Subsequent classes will not be like that. Although I'm not the only one that will take the course, there are about 8 people on this course. We have Professor Ogunkami, the team leader or course coordinator. We have myself. We have Dr. Bolarinwa, Dr. Olasan, Dr. Dada, Dr. Shifau, Dr. Abazu. You get to meet each and every one of them as they come in to take their classes. And all the classes will be virtual. There is no physical class for this course. The only physical component is your practical, which runs on Mondays from 3 to 6 p.m. And I think I should provide information on that too before we move on. And if that is what we can do between now and then, I'm sure you guys are free till 10 a.m. I don't think you've started other classes now. So we can have this class till 10 a.m. today because we started very late and we want to provide some background information so that we know what you are in for. So like I said earlier, for BIO101, I think that one is settled. You know your schedule and you know that is an online course. Then we are going to be writing CA tests in this course, about 3, as the Lord pleases. That would be your continuous assessment, and then there will be exam at the end of the semester. I think your exam is starting March by God's grace. Then for BIO 107, which is basically a practical course, a 1 unit course, we will release a Google link for registration for practical before the end of this week, maybe today or tomorrow by God's grace. I'll work on that. So we release the link, you register for practical, then we book. The practical will commence in January by God's grace, maybe first week or second week in January, all things being equal, but at most latest second week in January. But we are working to start by January 5. But if that is not visible because of the holiday, that Monday will be the first week in that year of work, and some people might not have moved in, then we'll start January 12th. But we plan to start by January 5. So we are going to release the Google link. You register for the practical. You are going to be grouped. Then the manual will be in the bookshop by next week. So if you go this week, it's not available yet. So from next week, the manual should be available in the bookshop for a fee. I don't know how much it will go for now. When you get there, they will tell you. If I have that information before then, I can let you know. So there's going to be practical on Mondays, tentatively January 5, all things being equal. But if not, then unfailingly by God's grace, January 12th, we will start practical. So get your lab manual, get your lab coat, get your shoes. In our lab, we don't allow open toe shoes. You are supposed to wear cover shoe, and we don't allow Crocs. Then the practicals will be assessed and graded over 100 overall. So I think that is all we should know for now. If there's any other information, it will be passed on the platform through your class reps. And okay, you have my phone number is not here. You can ask for your class rep for my phone number if you need any clarification. But don't come to my platform and be asking, will the lecture start? Will lecture hold today? When are we starting lectures? All this information will be provided as and when. You don't need to ask whether class will hold. If class will hold, we will let you know. If it will not hold, if it will not hold, because the lecture has started now. So if it is not going to hold, we will let you know. So you don't need to come to my DM or any lecturer's DM to be asking questions. Me personally, I don't tolerate that. I will block you. If I see that the information you are asking me is not relevant, or you don't even be asking, I don't like people spamming my inbox. So if you ask me irrelevant questions, I will block you. And if you must enter my DM, try and go straight to the point. Don't say good morning, sir, and expect me to answer your good morning before you say what you are in my DM for. Introduce yourself properly and say whatever you want to say, then I will answer you. So if you say good morning, sir, your good morning, sir might not get any response. It's not even might not, you will not get any response. So good morning, sir. My name is Taiwo Fakorede from the Department of Cell Biology and Genetics. I want to clarify, I want to seek clarification on this, or I want to ask, or I want to know. Simple. Don't say good morning and you are not saying what you are in my DM for. All right. I think that is enough for introduction. Every other information will be provided on the platform as we go into the lecture, deep into the lecture. So my name is Dr. Fakorede. I'm from the Department of Cell Biology and Genetics, and I will be handling this course with you along with other able colleagues, senior colleagues in the department. So today, maybe after this class, or right now, let me intro the course outline to the platform so that you have it, and what we are class, the course outline and recommended text. Last year I did this. I opened the Google Drive link that can store it up. Let me find the course outline that at the chapters that we are going to cover in those books, right? And that is, if you have some other biology textbooks, read Bible, and what have you that you can use, you can also find them handy, but not essential biology, secondary school biology this time around. You can do away with them this time around. And, okay, so the course outline involves concepts of biology and the method of scientific inquiry. We're going to be looking at cell structure and functions. We're going to be looking at cellular reproduction and heredity, the aspect of genetics, then animal reproduction. All of these will be of this lecture. Then again, these topics will be covered by different lecturers, right? Like I am taking this, although I'm supposed to take it is Dr. Bolani, but I'm standing in for him today. Biomolecules and central dogma of life will be taken by Dr. Lasson. Cell structure and function by Dr. Otu. Cellular reproduction and heredity by Dr. Shifau. Animal reproduction and development by Dr. Abazu. Ecology by Dr. Dada. Classification and evolution of living things by my able self. And all of us, we are all involved in the practical. So like I said, I am not class today, so it's possible that you see another lecturer on Wednesday that will take you. Then for your matriculation and orientation program, which commences on Wednesday or Thursday rather, on Thursday, we are going to see if it is possible to have lectures before you go for your orientation. I saw that the orientation program starts from 9 a.m. each day. So we decide if we are going to be taking you from 8 to 9 before you go for orientation program, or we suspend the lecture after Wednesday until after your orientation, maybe until next year by God's grace. So we are yet to decide on all of this, but don't worry, you won't be left in the loop. You are going to be carried along and you'll be informed of our decisions as and when due. Then, so let us start the lecture for today. So, like I said, we are going to be having concepts of biology and scientific inquiry. And by the time we are done with this lecture, we expect you to be able to define biology in scientific sense, to describe the characteristics of life, to understand the relationship between structure and function in biology, to demonstrate the ability to formulate hypotheses, design experiments, analyze data, and draw valid conclusions based on your evidence. So let's start with what is biology. If I ask everybody to drop their definition of biology, we have different definitions. Biology is the study of living things, study of living organism, study of plant and animal, because thinking of living organisms comprise plants and animal, and I'm sure we have different definitions. But if you define biology without science, that definition is not correct, it's not entirely valid. So because biology is a field of science, it is not arts, it is not humanities, right? And I'm sure most, if not all of you, about 99.9% of you did biology in your secondary school, right? It is those that are in psychology that most of them do not require biology in whole level, but now you are doing biology. So that's why I said 99.9%. So by definition, right, biology is the study of life. It is the science of life. It is the scientific study of life. It is the science that studies life. So when we say biology, and biology originates from two words, bios and logos. Bios meaning life, and logos means to study. Bios, logos, BIOS, LOGOS. They are Greek words meaning bios meaning life, and logos meaning study. So biology studies life. Anything that has life, biology deals with that study. And there are different fields of biology. We have zoology, we have botany, we have fisheries, we have evolution, we have anthropology, we have ichthyology, we study of fish, so many fields of biology. We have entomology, study of insects, and what have you. And if you look at all those things that I have mentioned, they have life. And what qualifies them to be living organism? Why do we say this object, for instance, is a living organism? This particular object is not a living organism. It is the presence of cell, right? It is the presence of cell in those organisms that makes us say they have life, that they are living organisms. So anything and everything that has life are living organisms. So if it has cells, they have life, and if they have life, they are living organisms or living things. So biology deals with organisms. Biology deals with things that have cells, things that are living, not non-living, right? Then what are the properties of life? What makes organisms or an object or a thing to qualify as a living organism? Is because they have cell and they have some other properties that we use to group them as living organisms. So, in addition to your characteristics of life from secondary school biology, Mr. Naija D, movement, reproduction, development, digestion, excretion, and what have you, Mr. Naija D, there are other attributes, there are other features that biologists use to qualify living organisms. There are certain features that an organism must possess before you can say it is a living thing. If one or all of these features are missing, then that thing is not a living thing. It does not concern biology. Example number one is the cell, like I said earlier. We said that cell is the basic structural and functional units of life. So underline the word basic, underline the word structural, underline the word functional. Let me take it again. A cell is the basic structural and functional units of life, right? That is the simplest form in which an organism can exist with structure and function. That organism has certain structures and is able to carry out certain functions. So, and it is the presence of those cells that helps them to do those things, having structures and performing certain functions. So the basic life, the smallest unit that life can exist is the cellular level. Then we have other. Then let's talk more about cell. In your secondary school biology, you will have some cell theories. All living things are made up of cells. Yes, it is because of those things, those cells that they have, that qualify them to be living organisms or living things, or that makes us say they have life. Cells arise from pre-existing cells, omnicellular, acellular, by root of virtue, by cell division. All cells come from pre-existing cell by cell division. So cell division is a process by which cells reproduce, by which cells give rise to new ones, right? And that definition is what makes life to continue. Because without cell, there can't be life. And we have different types of cell, depending on the level or the criterion that you want to use to classify it. We can have prokaryotic cell, we can have eukaryotic cells. We can have somatic cells, cells of the body, and we can have gametic cells, cells that are involved in reproduction, e.g. your sex cells and your sex cells, your sperm and egg cells. All these are examples of cells of the body. Then we have orderliness. There is order in living organisms. Living things are complex, are ordered, like there is hierarchy, right? And from secondary school biology, you know some hierarchy, organization of life. We are going to look at it soon. The cell to tissue, tissue to organ, organ to organ systems, organ to systems, and systems to organ system to organisms and what have you. Then we have sensitivity and response to stimuli. Organisms respond to their environment. They respond to touch, they respond to heat, they respond to cold, they respond to gravity, right? So unlike unlike a non-living thing, like a book, like a pencil, if fire is burning somewhere, chairs will not move, your books will not move, they will not respond. They don't respond to touch, they don't respond to their environment. But living things, plants, animals, eukaryotes and prokaryotes, microorganisms, all of these respond to their environment. And these are properties of life. These are the things that make scientists to call them living things. That is why they are living. Reproduction, adaptation. Adaptation simply means environment influences survival. That is, organisms must be able to survive in their immediate environment. If you leave Nigeria today and find yourself in Canada, you must adapt, you must cope. You must be able to survive in your immediate environment. Organisms that are not able to survive, that are not able to adapt to the environment, they die off and become extinct. So organisms are expected, living things are expected to adapt. There is growth and development, there is regulation, coordination of internal functions. Homeostasis, maintain of constant internal environment. Then energy utilization, organism must be able to perform metabolism. Metabolism is the overall reaction that is taking place in the body and can be divided into catabolism and anabolism. Example of anabolism is your reproduction, building up nutrients, where catabolism is the breaking down for utilization. Your respiration is an example of catabolism. So all of these are what qualifies living things to be what they are. And I'm sure you are following. Then we have, okay, this slide depicts the different characteristics of life, right? We can see here, for instance, we see regulation. Let's pick this regulation. For instance, we see this animal, right? I think it's H-A-R-E, here with a very long hair. That hair is to maintain regulation, for maintaining temperature, for sensitivity and what have you in that environment. Then we have energy processing. We have this bird feeding on the nectar. We have growth and development. We have reproduction, the giraffe and the young one beside it. We have response to environment. This particular plant that if you touch, it closes up, right? We have evolutionary adaptation, organisms being able to survive in their environment, and we have orderliness. All of these are characteristic features of life or of living things. Maybe before we proceed, let's see if you have any question, you can raise your hand and we will unmute you and you can be able to ask your question. Please keep it simple, short and simple, straight and direct so that we can proceed in the lecture. Okay, nobody is raising their hands. Nobody is raising their hands. Like I said, please, if you are joining, join with your full name, not your alias. Somebody is joining with Drex. I will start removing people that do not join with their full name. After today, if you are joining this class, join with your full name. Henna, that's not a full name. Favor, Grace, these are not full names. Join with your full name. Itel A67L, iPhone, these are not your full names. Imalbong, that's not your full name. Kindness E, that's not your full name. Lulu, it means you will not have attendance for this course today. You cannot pick Oluwateniola or Monye. Please ask Google how to join or edit your name on Zoom platform. to read, then this person will dash, 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 dash. That is not a valid name. Somebody is raising their hand here. Okay. Adizat Oluwa Fumilayo, please, you can unmute yourself and let's hear you out.
Sir, please, can you
Sir,
explain
please, can you
regulation?
explain regulation? You said?
Regulation.
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 Regulation. Regulation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You can lower your hand. Temiloluwa Owade, right? Hope I got that pronunciation correctly. You can unmute yourself. Temiloluwa
Good morning, sir.
Owade.
Good morning, sir. Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Does
morning.
this
You have the
mean
floor. Ask your
Mr.
question.
Does this mean Mr. Niger is a lie?
You said?
I said, does this mean Mr. Niger D is a lie?
Does it mean Mr. Lenja D is a lie?
Yes.
Okay, I've heard you. We'll provide answer to that. So let's take Faremi Esther, then we'll take the question together. Esther, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sir, please, can you explain
Sir, please, can you explain
the somatic cells
the somatic cells?
and more
Somatic
clarification on
cells. And more clarification on metabolism. You said?
more clarification on metabolism?
More clarification on metabolism. Clarification on metabolism. You're asking two in one question. Okay. So you can lower your hand. Krista and Sheyifunmi, Raja, Isha, we will take you later. Just keep your hands up. Faremi Esther, please lower your hand. Let's take these 4 questions, then we proceed. Now, the first question is a regulation, right? What we mean by regulation simply means maintaining of internal function, right? For instance, you are able to stabilize your function. If there is excess heat in your environment, you are able to adjust, right? You are able to regulate, like your osmoregulation, maintaining the salts and the water balance in the body. So that is simply what we mean by regulation. There is regulation of ions, regulation of minerals. All the systems are regulated to be sure that everything are in the right proportion and in right places. Otherwise, some things could go haywire in the body. So organisms must be able to regulate not only the environment that they find themselves, they must be able to respond to upregulation or deregulation. If we have excess amount of glucose, for instance, the body must be able to regulate it. If we have lower level of glucose in the body must be able to regulate it. So that is what we mean by regulation, having an internal function that coordinates the activities inside. Then somebody asks if Mr. Niger D is a lie. No, Mr. Niger D is not a lie. Mr. Niger D is 100% accurate. In addition to your Mr. Niger D, we're now telling you that life does not end, life does not stop at Mr. Niger D. Features, there are other characteristics at this level. Don't forget, you are no longer in secondary school SS3. So at this point, there are other things that are equally important apart from movement, apart from irritability. Irritability is also like a form of sensitivity or response to stimuli. So it is still valid. All right, you will still have reproduction here. And reproduction is in Mr. Niger D. So, sir, Mr. Niger D is not a horse and it's not a lie, right? Then even competition is also a characteristic of life. In addition to adaptation, competition is also a feature of life. It's also part of the characteristics of life because organisms must be able to compete when we have limited resources. I'm sure you did the competition in your secondary school biology. When organisms struggle for resources that are scarce, for scarce resources or limited resources, we have interspecific and intraspecific, depending on what species of organisms, the same species or different species of organisms. So organisms compete for light, for space, for mates, for food, right? And the ones that are not able to compete favorably, they are they are overpowered, and if care is not taken, they may die off, and they become extinct. So I think I've answered regulation, Mr. Niger D. Then somatic cells. Yes, the cells of the body can be divided, can be classified using different criterion. One of the criteria is whether a cell is involved in reproduction or not. So all cells of the body are called somatic cells. SOMATAIC. In fact, the word soma is a Greek, is it Greek or Latin word meaning body. Soma means body. So the word somatic means is coming from the word soma. So somatic cells are those cells of the body that do not take part in reproduction. All the cells, your liver cells, the hepatocytes, your red blood cells, the erythrocytes, your white blood cells, your leukocytes, your skin cells, your rod and cone cells of the eyes, all of these ones are called somatic cells. Your hair cells, your skin cells, all the cells of the body. Don't forget to say that cells make up life. Without cell, there is no life. So all those cells are called somatic cells or body cells. Whereas other ones too are gametic cells or sex cells. And these are your egg cell and your sperm cells. All other ones apart from these two are called somatic cells. That is one area, that is one criterion for classifying cells of the body, whether they are involved in reproduction or not, whether they are bodily cells, somatic cells, or reproductive or gametic cells or sex cells. Right? We can also classify cells based on whether they have membrane-bound nucleus or not. That is eukaryotes and the prokaryotes, right? We can also classify cells based on the number of cells that they have. Organisms, we can have unicellular and multicellular, right? So that answers somatic cells. And I think I've done justice to your question. I think that was Esther. Then we have metabolism. Metabolism is the sum, is the totality, the sum of reactions that takes place in the human body. All the reactions, all the chemical reactions that is taking place in the body. For instance, your photosynthesis, there's a reaction for that. Glucose plus oxygen plus in the presence of sunlight giving you CO2 and oxygen and the carbon dioxide, right? That is a form of a reaction. So this totality of these reactions, those of you in biochemistry, you do more of reactions, biochemical pathways, right? All of these reactions that is taking place in the body, converting one molecule to the other, enzymes coming into place, your digestion is a form of reaction, right? Nutrition is a form of reaction in the body. All these reactions, their sum is known as a metabolism. So metabolism is a word that we use to describe the reactions that take place in the body. And this metabolism are of two types. There are reactions that build up, that their essence is to produce, to manufacture, to build up materials. We refer to them as anabolism. Anabolism. Whereas there are other reactions is to break down. For instance, your respiration, whereby the energy in glucose is released, is broken down, right? That process is a catabolism. Example of anabolism, one that you can easily familiar with is respiration, photosynthesis, catabolism, respiration. We said metabolism, reaction. Two types of reaction, one that builds up, anabolism, the one that breaks down, catabolism. So let's move on with some other questions in the course of the lecture by God's grace. So let's move on. Let's see our brethren on YouTube and see hearing join through. It is the same in your broadcast. It is the same experience that you enjoy on YouTube and WhatsApp. if your network is sound, you won't miss out on anything. So whether you are joining on YouTube or you are joining on Zoom, you don't have anything to lose. All we will advise you is that you have a reliable network and make sure that your phone is not hanging. If you have Bollywood on your on your movie on your phone, Bollywood, K drama, C drama that will eat deep into your data or into your storage, you better please, this is the time to do away with them, because most of your classes, not only biology, might be virtual, online. So please, and you still have a reliable network, and I'm sure you are the one that provides your network, so you cannot blame Dr. Faku for that. As long as my network is good, we have to also do. Who are these people dropping chats again? These children have started this year again. Don't drop anything in the chat room. Those of you that have the opportunity to join now, I think I should send your class reps to you. Do not drop anything in this chat room, please. Okay, let's continue. So let's look at the levels of organization that we have. Like I said, you are familiar with all of this, right? As mentioned earlier, living things are highly organized and structured. That is what we say about order, right? They are organized and they are structured. Now, in your secondary school biology, which I'm very sure you all attended one, although some people did not attend secondary school. So if you attended secondary school, you will have heard that we say the organization of. Okay, sorry, I am back, and we continue. So So I was talking about the organization of life, right? So you've heard that it is from cell to tissue to organ to system. But a cell is not just existing on its own. Example, the unicellular organisms, right? They are not just existing on their own. They have structures that help them to perform certain functions, right? So those cells have. Okay, I think it's good like that. So we have structures that help the cells to perform certain functions. We refer to them as macromolecules, right? Then those macromolecules do not just exist. Macromolecules means larger molecules that are made up of smaller subunits known as monomers. They are also referred to as the macromolecules are also referred to as polymers, and the subunits that make up the polymers are known as monomers. So we said that smaller molecules make up the bigger molecules known as the polymers or macromolecules. Then what about those molecules, those smaller molecules? What do they make up? They are made up of atoms. So from secondary school chemistry, that atom is the smallest and most fundamental unit of matter, right? Then atoms made up molecules, molecules make up macromolecules. For instance, those atoms, we have your nitrogen and the hydrogen, for instance, your three atoms, three molecules of what's it called, of hydrogen and one nitrogen, NH3, giving you ammonia. You have CO2. All of these are atoms or elements combining to make up a molecule. Now, when you have amino acids are made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and what have you, other structural components. So these amino acids are molecules on their own. So several amino acid units will combine and form protein, known as macromolecule. And protein helps the cell to perform certain functions. So molecules come together with other molecules to form organelles. So those organelles are structures that help the cells to perform certain functions. Right? So we are trying to reconstruct the organization of life now. So you can pick your pen and write with me. So organization of life starts from atom to molecule, molecule to biomolecule. Use your arrow. Biomolecules to cell, cell to tissue, tissue to organ, organ to organ system to organisms, right? Organisms to population, population to community, community to ecosystem, ecosystem to biosphere. So we are going to pick these terms one by one. We have done justice to atom, to molecules, biomolecules, and now we're at organelles before we move to cells. Right? So all of these make up the organization of life. So you know, from a secondary school, you just speak from cell to organ system. No. This organ system works in something. For instance, your skeletal system, your reproductive system, your digestive system, they work in you, an organism. They work in goat. Goat is an organism. Then when we have collection of organisms, we call them populations. Population of goats in Shomolu, Lagos. Population of human being residing in Lagos in 2025. Then when we look at population, different populations make up the community. The ecosystem is the sum of the living and abiotic component of the community, of the environment. Then the biosphere. So the organization of life actually starts from atom, from a non-living thing, molecules to macromolecules or larger molecules or polymers, macromolecules to organelles. Organelles, I said organelles are tiny microscopic structures. You use your leg to walk about. You use your eyes to see. In relation to cell, you are the cell, your eyes are the organelles. That's the cell is sending an errand. Okay, take me from this place to this place, right? Then we emphasize on cell. In biology, is the fundamental unit of life. All living things are made up of cell. Then we have cells combined to make tissues, a group of similar cells that carry out the same functions. Organs are a collection of tissues grouped together that perform common function. Then we have the organ systems. Then we have organisms. Organisms are individual living entities, right? A living entity. Taiwo Fakorede is an organism, right? Let me pick somebody in the chat room to use an example. Then we have Chidubem Akushie, you're an organism. Abdul Basit Okpeyemi is an organism. Abdullah Kasumu is an organism, right? Akinbade Oluwatimileyin is an organism. So organism, then from organism we move to population. Okay, organisms can be classified into two. We have different classification of organisms depending on whether their cells, their nucleus and organelles are enclosed in a membrane or not. So we have two groups of organisms, like I said earlier. Prokaryotes. Prokaryotes are single-celled organisms that do not have membrane-bound nucleus nor organelles surrounded by a membrane. So we said that organelles perform certain functions for organisms, for cells. So you know what organelles are, you know what cells are. Now, organisms can either be a prokaryote or a eukaryote. So eukaryote means EU, means true, right? So true. So prokaryotes, they are single-celled and their nucleus, right, is not enclosed in a membrane, right? And their organelles are also scattered in the cytoplasm. They are not enclosed in a membrane. But for eukaryotes, they have a membrane. They do have a membrane-bound nucleus, and their organelles, those things that perform certain functions for them, are enclosed in a membrane, e.g. your plants or animals and fungi. Then we have population. Population is all individuals of a species living within a specific area, right? Definition of population is group of organisms of the same species that are capable of interbreeding found in a particular place at a given time. So when you define population, you mention the same species, you mention interbreeding. Interbreeding means that they can reproduce, right? You mention place and time. Population of human in Lagos in 2025. Population of cow in Kara markets in April 2024. That is organisms, similar organisms, right? When we're talking about population, you cannot be counting goats and human being together. We are different species. We cannot interbreed. So population deals with organisms of the same species. Organisms of the same species that are able to reproduce, that can interbreed. Then community is a set of populations inhabiting a particular area, different population of organisms in a particular area. Like, let's use the common community. Your area where you live, your community, where you stay in your community, you will agree with me that you are not the only organism. Human beings are not the only organism in that community. You have population of different organisms. You have population of goats, population of mosquitoes, population of cockroach even in your house, population of bed bug in your room, right? That is definition of a community. Different populations in a particular area. So if you pick a classroom for instance, it's an example of a community, because inside a classroom, inside even your house, your parlor, your living room, is an example of a community, because yes, you might be the only visible organism there, but you cannot deny the fact that there are cockroaches in your kitchen. There are ants in the living room. Some people have bed bugs in their bedroom, in the parlor. There are spiders, right? There are other organisms that you can see in that particular area. So that is a community. So I'm sure you can be able to distinguish between population and community now. In population, we're referring to organisms of the same species that are able to interbreed, find a particular place at a particular time. But for community, we are referring to different populations of organisms. For instance, population of goats, population of cattle, population of humans in a particular place at a particular time. But for population, we are referring to only population of a particular organism, population of human being. So when you are counting human being, you cannot count goats along with it. Okay, ecosystem. Ecosystem consists of all living things and non-living things that are found in the environment in a particular area. So ecosystem deals with living things and non-living things. The living things or the living components of the environment is known as biotic. The non-living component is known as abiotic, and the two affect each other in an environment. Living things and non-living things dey relate. Example of non-living things environment is your temperature, your sunlight, your pressure, what have you. And you see that all of these play a significant role in their environment. The living component and the non-living component. There is a way that the living things affect their environment. For instance, how are you affecting your environment? Do you pollute your environment? After drinking water, do you litter the floor with your plastics or what have you? Are you taking care of the environment? How are you affecting other organisms in the environment? Do you clog the water with waste so that the mosquito is breeding everywhere? So that when it rains, then you cannot step out of your room or out of your compound. So you need to treat the environment very well. Otherwise, you are doing yourself harm. So the biosphere is the part of the hard surface that supports life. I don't think we need to overflog that. I'm sure you've heard of that in your secondary school. And if you have not done this in your secondary school, go back and collect your school fees. Tell them they did not teach you very well. That all the school fees that you pay from SS1 to SS3 did not mention biosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere in when they were teaching you lithosphere and what have you. So tell them to give you your money back, whether in geography or in biology. You must have heard of all those spheres. Okay, this slide depicts the different organization of life from the biosphere to the bottom. So let's look at this. The biosphere, we said that is the part that supports life. Then we have the ecosystem, which comprises the living organism. And you can see here for the slide of the ecosystem, you can see there are flowers, there are plants, there are trees, and we can see the sky also. The sky, there is sun coming from the sky, there is wind from the sky, and what have you from the sky. Then when you come down to communities, we see that we have different population of organisms according to our definition of community. You have deer there, you have different animals, you even have plants. So in that community, you can take population of a particular plant, you can take population of animals. Then again, when we come down, the arrow that comes down to population, we are now dealing with a particular plant, right? So we have left the animals, we have left those brightly colored plants that have red colors. We are now dealing with the blue flag plants, right? That is population, and you can see there are many of them. So we can be talking of population of these particular plants in that environment. Then we move on to organisms. That particular plant is an organism on its own. Sadly, I don't know the name of that plant. But if it's a cassava plant, for instance, then we're looking at that plant as an organism. Then we can have organ, right? The organ is the leaf. Leaves are made up of different tissues. Tissues are made up of cells. Cells are made up of organelles, e.g. your chloroplast. Then organelles are made up of molecules that comprise atoms. So that is how life emerged from the largest to the least or the lowest. From atom, you can now trace it back from atom to molecule to organelles to cell to tissue to organ to organism to population, community, ecosystem, and biosphere. So, unifying themes in biology. So we are moving gradually to the end of the class. We have covered one aspect. If you check the course area that I shared with you earlier in the day, we have 3 topics to cover under this 3 subtopics under this broad topic of concepts of biology. So let's look at quickly unifying themes in biology, so that by Wednesday we can maybe conclude and you enjoy your orientation program from Thursday. So unifying themes in biology, these are what do you want? I think we should see you today. Is it important that I've signed your summary now? Yes, sir. Okay, so we have unifying themes as concepts that connect biology, right? That's different fields in biology that we talk about. We have the cells, the systems, the structure and function, emergent properties, reproduction, homeostasis, and what have you. So let's pick them one by one, then we do justice to them. So we have cells. Cells are the basic structural and functional units of life, like we said earlier. We have defined our two population of cells as prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and we say what they are. Prokaryotes are simple and small. Examples are bacteria. We said they do not have membrane-bound organelles, and eukaryotes have membrane-bound organelles. Examples are your plants and animals. Then there are levels, right? All levels of life have systems of related parts. So there are related parts that made up a system. A system is an organized group of interacting parts. These parts work together to make a whole. Like you have your car, there are different parts of the car, right? That makes it to perform, that makes it to work. You cannot just put your car on the road without the engine. You cannot put it on the road without the tire, without the ignition, without petrol in it. So all of these make up the part and they work together to make that system work. Example is your heart, the heart cell. The system cannot function, the body cannot function without the hepatocyte, the cells of the liver, without your reproductive system and different systems of the body, even without the ecosystem. Because you must interact. You must interact with your environment. You must interact with the oxygen, interact with temperature, interact with other organisms in the environment, with the plants. If you are not interacting with the plants, I don't know how you want to survive. Then we have structure and function are related in biology. So in biology, we say structure fits function, or structure determines function. That is, there is interrelatedness. There is relationship between the structure and the function, right? The structure is the shape of the object or the form of the object, while the function is the object's specific role. And those structures are designed in such a way that will make them suitable to carry out, to perform those functions that they have been designed to do. Example, your ear, EAR, your ear is designed in such a way that it collects waves. Imagine if your ear is facing back. It won't be able to collect waves, then direct it to the auditory canal, to your semicircular canal, what have you, the cochlea and other parts of the ear, the structure that you did the second before to the brain to interpret. Look at this organism here. Look at the exoskeleton. The exoskeleton is designed in such a way that it helps the organisms to prevent dehydration, to prevent from protection. It serves as protection. It serves as protective mechanism. It helps the organism to perform, to do certain things. So all organisms, the structures that we have, our liver cells are designed in such a way that is carried to help it facilitate its functions, metabolism of drugs and what have you. So the structures that we have, your hands are designed for grasping. Your legs are designed in such a way that it helps you to move. It's not slippery, right? Your eyes are designed for seeing. So that is what we mean by structure fits function in biology, or there's a relationship between the structure and the function. So what something does in an organism is directly related to its structure or form. The structure of different cells differ because they perform different tasks in the body. For instance, your red blood cells that transport oxygen, the structure of the red blood cells is in such a way that it is able to navigate, to travel through the blood streams, through the pipes, the arteries that looks like pipes in the cell, in the body. So imagine if the the red blood cell is takes in the shape of a square or shapeless instead of its concave shape, it won't be able to transport oxygen to move inside the pipe, inside your arteries, right? So the structure of certain cells, certain things, certain objects in the body is in such a way that it helps you to perform the function that it is doing for the cell. Then number 4, we have hierarchy, right? In life's hierarchy of organization, new properties emerge at each level. So if you move from atom to molecule, for instance, there are new properties. If you move from cell to tissue, there are new properties that we have at lower level, at upper level, sorry, that you don't see at the lower level. You refer to these properties as emergent properties. These novel properties, those new properties that are found at higher level of hierarchy, higher level of organization that do not exist in the lower level, we refer to them as a emergent properties, new properties that exist at lower level. And you agree with me that the higher you go, the higher the complexity, the higher the properties that you see, and the more things that the organism that level can do. So we said life emerges through organization at various levels. With each step upward in organizational level, novel or new properties emerge that we call emergent properties as a result of interactions among those different components of lower levels. Right? And you will agree with me that an organism can achieve more than what individual cells could achieve. Right? The ecosystem will perform better than the organism. The organism will do better than the tissue. Tissue will perform better than molecule. So as you go higher in the hierarchy that I gave you today, from atom to biosphere, there are new properties, there are novel properties known as emergent that are emerging, as the name implies. They are emergent, they are emerging properties. We call them emergent properties because we don't find them at the lower level, but they exist at the upper level. So maybe before we proceed, let's see if we can take one two questions to. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand and we take it. Otherwise, we just go to the end of the class. Do we have any question? If you have any question, please raise your hand and ask. And as you are joining the YouTube, those of you on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel so that next time you won't have to start waiting for link. Just go to your YouTube, look to your subscribe links or subscribe channels, and whenever we are live, you can enjoy the lecture. We can take one questions to. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand and we take it. Otherwise, we just go to the end of the class. We have. Okay, let's quickly do this remaining. There's no. Okay. Let's take Chidubem. We will take these three: Chidubem, Awoshika, and Olaoye. Chidubem, let's have your question, please. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Chidubem
Samson
Akushe.
asked what is the difference between regulation and homeostasis? Because you said that regulation is maintaining internal balance and homeostasis is also the same thing. That's my question.
Okay, they are not the same thing. So let's take Awoshika. You can lower your hand and mute yourself back. Thank you. Awoshika. Mercy Adura Ademi. You can mute yourself and join and ask your question, or mute yourself and ask your question. Awoshika. Okay, Ola Oyedamilola. Unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning there. How are you?
Thank you. There's a part you said, all cells come from
You said?
pre-existing cells.
I can't hear you, please. I can't hear the question. You said there's a part I said.
All cells come from pre-existing cells.
Okay, all cells come from pre-existing cells. Okay.
Yes. So that pre-existing, like
Mm.
where did they generate from? Since they are also cells.
Since they are okay, the previous cells, where do they come from?
Yeah.
Is that your question? If we say all cells come from pre-existing cells, where do the pre-existing cells come from? Is that your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's take. Do we have somebody else raising their hands? I think Chidubem has asked question first. I'm not sure. Please lower your hand if you have asked questions so that we can know the people to take. If you have asked question, please lower your hand though, so that we can know who to take. Do that now. Chidubem Akushi, have you not asked your question? Oh yeah, ask your question, please. Chidubem. Okay, let me lower your hand for you then. Janet Enoche, unmute yourself and ask question. Cheesy praise, later, your own is later. Unmute yourself and ask.
Good morning. So my question is, they said we were told that cells are the fundamental unit of life, but
You said I can't get your. No, I'm not picking your. What did you say? We said that what?
we were told that fundamental unit of life,
Cell
and
is.
now cells are fundamental.
Okay. Fundamental units of life. Okay.
And now we are seeing that atoms. So how do we relate them?
That atom is what?
Are atoms molecules of cells? So how
Okay,
do we?
okay. I think I understand your question. How is atom related to cell, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me take it from your question. We said cell is the fundamental unit of life. Yes, cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Valid. Now, we are now saying that if there is a particular cell, that cell cannot exist on its own because it's not an island. That cell we need to move. We need to respond to its environment. That cell we even need to reproduce. That cell will need to obtain energy and utilize energy, right? So what helps the cell to do those things that it is doing, right? It is organelles. So I'm taking it back to your atom now. Now, if we have organelles, we said organelles are tiny microscopic structures that help organisms to perform certain functions, just as you use your leg to walk, right? Your leg that you are using to walk, for instance, they have muscles, there are bones, there is flesh in it. So the leg alone on its own without the blood vessels circulating, pumping oxygen, without the actin and myosin that is helping to contraction and relaxation, without your bone that support the legs, your femur and the humerus that support the leg cannot walk. So just as you have the organelles doing certain functions for the cell, you also have macromolecules that help those organelles to function. Example of macromolecules is your protein. I'm sure you know that different proteins exist in the body that do different things. Some of them function as enzymes, some of them are structural in nature, some of them are metabolic in function, and what have you. Example of other macromolecules are your fat and oil. Example of other macromolecules are your carbohydrates, your nucleic acids. You will still do these ones, I think it's after this topic. Biomolecules of life. So those molecules also have some atoms that make up molecule. For instance, your carbohydrate is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in different proportions. Yes or yes? Yes. Your nucleic acid, in addition to CHO, have phosphorus. Your protein are made up of smaller components made up of amino acids. Those amino acids are made up of atoms that are linked by covalent bonds. So atom will form molecule. Molecule will form biomolecules, larger molecules. Those biomolecules are known as macromolecules, help the organelles to do what they do for the cell. I think you get it now. So the cell is not existing on its own. It needs other things to function rather. So those things that help the cell to function are known as biomolecules. Biomolecules are made up of molecules. Molecules are made up of atoms. I hope that is clear. Then we have somebody who talks about cells coming from pre-existing cells. Then if we say that cells come from pre-existing cells, how do those pre-existing cells come to life? Valid question. This is from development. When the embryo is developing, right, there are signals from your, okay, let's take it from your three germ layers. After fertilization, there is cleavage, right? The cleavage, the cell will undergo repeated mitotic cleavations known as cleavage, cleavage to morula, morula to blastocyst, blastocyst to morula to gastrula, blastocyst to morula, morula to gastrula. The gastrula will have three germ layers: the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. So it is those mesoderm, endoderm, and ectoderm that become specialized. So it is cells are formed. In fact, life on its own are from cells, like we said earlier. Your sperm is a cell. Your egg cell is also, your egg is also a cell. So life has been in existence from cells. So when those cells fertilize, you form zygote. Zygote is another cell. Then from there you have various cells. The one that will form the gametes, the one that will form the eyes, the one that will form the skin. Your endoderm, your mesoderm, and ectoderm, they form the basis for these things during early stage of a development, embryogenesis, right, or embryology. The field of biology development is embryology. So all of these form during 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 embryogenesis, right? Then somebody talked about, and I think I've been able to ask that question. Then somebody talked about difference between regulation and homeostasis. Now, homeostasis simply deals with maintaining. Who is there? I'm in class. We have homeostasis simply deals with maintaining stable internal environment now. Constant internal environment. Internal, that is what homeostasis does with. Regulation involves regulating the entire body. You are representing cold, temperature, everything that has to do with the body. The water level is in right proportion, the sugar level is in right proportion, there is no excess, there is no deficiency. That is what regulation is all about. But homeostasis simply deals with maintaining internal, stable, constant internal environment. Then, okay, I think that let's go on. Then we have reproduction as unifying terms in biology. Reproduction simply deals with new organisms emerging from from adults. That is, organisms produce new organisms like themselves by transmitting their hereditary material to the offspring via reproduction, and that hereditary information is encoded in the DNA. So humans, for instance, we have our DNA that carry the information of life. It is the DNA that carries all the information for height, for traits. But that information that is encoded in the DNA cannot do anything if it is not translated to protein. So the information goes from the DNA to RNA and to protein. And that is why I said these are molecules of life. And Dr. Larson will come in and teach you about molecules after this topic. So we have the information encoded in the DNA needs to be utilized by the body, by the cell. But the cell cannot use it except in the form of a protein. So you need an interpreter. Maybe there is a German here that wants you to jump over the fence, that danger is coming. But you don't understand German, you don't understand French, but there's someone that does not also understand English and wants to communicate so you need an interpreter. So the interpreter here is the RNA that helps us to decode the information in the DNA and translate it to protein that the cell understands. So the information will flow from DNA to RNA to protein, and we call that central dogma of life. Central dogma, process by which information moves from DNA. Information is encoded in the DNA. So we need something to decode it to RNA, then from RNA to protein. Then homeostasis. Okay, homeostasis is the maintenance of constant internal conditions. Organism must maintain homeostasis to survive in diverse environments, right? Then we have interactions. Interactions, I want to end the class by it's even 10 already. Sorry, let's quickly do this. So interaction simply deals with organisms interacts from molecules to ecosystem. Like we have seen before, interactions are important in biological systems. At any level of the biological hierarchy, interaction between the components of the system ensures smooth integration of all the parts such that they function as a whole. So there is interaction. No organisms, no molecule exists, no living thing exists on their own. There is interaction between the living components and the non-living components. As we shall see here, we have a plant, we have the animal, we have the environment. You have the plant absorbing light energy from the sun. It will use this to manufacture its food. Then the leaves will fall to the ground, and when they decompose, they form manure, providing organisms they serve as manure to the plants to grow again. There's that interaction there. Then water and minerals in the soil are taken up by the tree through its roots, another form of interaction between the soil, non-living thing, and the plant, the living thing. Then we also have the elephant here feeding, browsing on the trees. That is another form of interaction between organism and organism. So we have organisms interacting, different organisms interacting with the environment. And that field of biology that deals with interaction between organisms is known as ecology. Interactions between organisms and organisms on one hand, and organisms and non-living components on the other hand. Then we have evolution. Evolution is the core theme of biology. The the center, right, of biology, the foundation on which biology is built is evolution. And so it simply means the change in living organisms over time. The genetic makeup of population of a species changes over time, right? So evolution deals with how adaptations are beneficial. For instance, if you look at this picture here, you will see that we have two population of organisms. This one here is brightly colored, red and white on a green leaf. It can easily be picked by a predator, yes or yes. But look at this guy here on the right hand side. It is mimicking this thorn or spine on that tree. This is the organism here. Let me use a red, yellow. This is the organism here. It is mimicking this thorn or spine on the tree so that it is not noticed by predator. So over time, this particular organism here will evolve those adaptive features that will help it to survive in that environment and cope. But the one that is brightly colored and exposed will be eaten up by a predator and its population decreases. So those ones that are able to survive will transfer those traits that help them to survive in their environment to their young ones. I will call that natural selection. That is nature selecting those traits that help an organism to survive in its environment. Then we have evolution as a core theme of biology, like we said earlier, and it is responsible for the unity and diversity of life. That is the similarities. If you look at this picture on the right, we have different kinds of fishes in the water bodies. But yes, they are there because of what they have in common, but they are not the same organism. So how do they differ and how are they similar is what evolution deals with: unity and diversity between organisms. Whether organisms that once lived 2,000 years ago, 10 million years ago, 300 million years ago. There was a time that dinosaurs occupied the earth's surface, but today they have become extinct, right? So how do organisms that we have today differ to those ones that have become extinct? The ones that are still alive, what do we share in common? Even the ones that are gone, what do we share in common? How are we different? How are we similar? That is what we talk about: unity and diversity, similarities and differences between organisms, both living and the ones that have gone. Then we have, okay, let us stop there for today, and in next class we will continue from, or maybe Dr. Bolaniwa will continue from, methods of inquiry in biology. So in the absence of any other question, thank you for your time. Sorry for starting the class late, it was not intentional. Then we continue from this on Wednesday by God's grace. So if you don't have any question, we have come to the end of the class. You can exit while we take questions from Olayemi Alhamin. Olayemi Alhamin, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Bye bye,
Good morning, sir.
everybody.
Hello, good
Have
morning,
a
sir.
wonderful day. Okay. Good morning.
Sir, you said that physical characteristics are not transmittable, are not transmittable from parents to child. So how can
When
the
did I say
physical
that?
characteristics?
Hello. I can't remember mentioning physical characteristics that are not transmissible. I didn't say that, okay. I didn't say that. So if you want to ask question, ask what I said. Don't
Okay, sir.
quote me
How are
out
the
of.
physical characteristics during evolution transmitted to their offsprings?
That is by natural selection now, by reproduction. The same way you inherit traits, characteristics from the parents, right? It's the same way those traits are transferred through reproduction. Hello? Favor Itie. Favor Itie.
Monitor.
Sir,
Good morning.
sir, could I have a question?
That is why you
Because,
are unmuted to ask your question. We know.
sir, this unifying field of biology,
Mm.
please, what is it relating with? Is it the summary
What is it?
of everything about?
There are concepts. There are different concepts that different fields of biology, right? Things like concepts that unifies biology, that is common in the field of biology. Let's just put it that way. Concepts that we deal with in biology.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Concepts that. Okay, yeah. Udengba Chelsea.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Please, can you do a quick recap on the level of organization?
I will send a video of this lecture after that time. So you can watch the video, you can listen to the lecture all over again, and you have your to get that. Ajayi Zainab Queen. But in fairness to you, then you are asking me to start level of organization all over again. Anyway, let me just say that the level of organization deals with the different hierarchy, right, of organization of living things or of life, from atoms to how these atoms combine, right, to form molecules. How these molecules, smaller molecules, combine to form large molecules. How these large molecules, known as macromolecules, help the cell to perform certain functions organelles. How these organelles help the cells to perform certain functions for the cell. How the cells aggregate to form tissues. How tissues that perform similar functions make organs. How organs form organ systems. How systems make up the organisms. How organisms make up populations. Populations are made of populations translate to community. Different populations form the community. The community might be evolving into ecosystem and what have you. So different levels at which life can be studied, at cellular level, at the organismal level, at the population level, the community level, right? I think that answer your question. Ajayi
Yes, sir.
Zainab, you can unmute
Sir, good,
yourself
good
and
morning,
ask
sir.
question. Good
Yes, sir.
morning.
So I need emphasis on emerging properties. Emergent
Emergent
properties, yes,
properties
sir.
are emergent properties are novel or new properties that emerge as you move from one level of organization to the next.
Okay, sir.
For instance, as you move from childhood to adulthood, as you move from SS3 to year one. What course are you studying, Zainab?
Biochemistry.
Biochemistry. As you move from your secondary school to biochemistry, there are certain traits, there are certain properties that you begin to have now that you do not have in secondary school,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So those properties are emergent, they are emergent, they are new in you because of the level that you have. When emergent properties that will appear, that we will see in you that we don't see now. So
Yes.
those properties that exist at higher level as you move from cell to tissue, from tissue to organs, those properties that are emerging, those new properties, those novel properties that are emerging as you move higher level to higher levels are known as emergent properties.
Yes, sir. Thank
I hope it is clear now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Chizzy Praise. Awoshika is back again. Okay, let's take Awoshika for the last time and we share the grace. Mercy Adura Demi, please unmute yourself and ask the last question. Chizzy is back. Okay, we will take Chizzy after you, then we call it a day, a success. Awoshika, please ask your question.
Sir,
Could you please explain the importance
Ma,
of RNA to
eh?
the cell? Sir, could you please
I
explain
can't.
the importance of RNA to the cell?
Importance of what?
RNA to the
Importance.
cell.
Importance of RNA. Okay. RNA means ribonucleic acid. When you get to biomolecules, you will learn more on RNA and DNA and protein and carbohydrates and fats and oils or lipids. Now, RNA is a form of macromolecule known as ribonucleic acid. Now, we said that RNA acts as intermediary between DNA and protein. So RNA is the genetic material of some organisms as well, whereas DNA is the genetic material of some organisms. For instance, some viruses they have RNA, they don't have DNA, right? Then the link between DNA, the information that the cell needs to do certain things is encoded in the DNA. But the cell cannot interpret that information because it is coded. There's a code that information is written in, and the cell does not understand that code. So the information will first be transcribed to RNA. We call that process transcription. Then from RNA to protein. So it is the protein that will carry out the function, that will instruct the cell. This is the information that is there. So this is what you will do if you have this information. This is that information that is coded by TAC. TAC then will give you this particular protein. Don't forget, protein is aggregate of amino acids. So when your central in your class on biomolecule, you see in the course that we say, you see we have DNA replication, transcription, and translation. So the process by which the information encoded in the DNA, the code, the genetic information of life that is encoded in the DNA, we need to transcribe to RNA, then RNA to protein. So that is basically what the RNA does to the cell. Then, who is there? You said? Mulerify that. I'm coming. I'm in class. Hold on. Okay, I think I've answered your question. So, cheesy praise. Let's have your question. Cheesy praise. Cheesy. Cheesy praise, you are not asking your question. All right, thank you everybody. Do have a wonderful day and stay out of trouble. Bye.